sphere. We all know that Hillary Clinton bleached bit and destroyed evidence that proved that she had classified documents. The only reason why we even found out about it was that we found these said documents on Anthony Weiner's laptop, next to pictures of his wiener. The Biden administration says that they are trying to do a nonpartisan investigation, but in today's climate, this cannot be done. If the system was just, then Hillary Clinton would have already been locked up, and the Biden family members that were involved in the Ukrainian electric company would also be in the same exact. That's why today we're going to be breaking down the whole entire Trump investigation that's happening in New York.
Facts over tracks, this and that, spitting slow, spitting fast, I could roast, I could gas, think I'm okay at last, but I don't know if that can erase all the past.
Looking back at the beginning of my life, back to elementary school, I recall eating green eggs and ham in preschool, going outside when it snowed, and putting water and food coloring in the snow to make a cool design. Back in the good old days of 2009, soon after, I found myself going to a brand new school. I was starting my first day of kindergarten and always counted down the days until I could leave school. I never wanted to be at school, much like every other kid, but we didn't know any better. Moving a few years ahead to 3rd grade, I envisioned myself growing up, but if you asked me what growing up meant, I couldn't tell you. All I knew was I wanted to grow up. While I was in school during the winter, at night, I would look out my window and see it snowing, and much like any other kid, hope and pray that school was canceled. When it was, I was excited and put my snow clothes on as soon as I woke up and played all day long because I didn't have anything else to do. But that very next day, I was back at it again with the schoolwork and back at it again thinking about how many days I had left until the end of the school year or until the next day off, as if 3rd grade was so hard. I guess I wasn't in the mood for the magic school bus that day. Instead, I kept counting down the days until 4th grade or 5th grade, you get the idea. Until finally, I was at a whole new school for 6th grade, where I thought that the school year was going by slowly because I didn't have a lot of people that I knew at this new school, and there was no one at my elementary school at this said school. All of a sudden, halfway through the year, I overheard a teacher talking to another student about how middle school is the fastest school you will be at because it's only 3 years. At least it is where I live. Of course, at the time, I neglected the teacher's thoughts and went about the rest of my school year. But little did I know that I witnessed firsthand what she was actually talking about. Looking back, I can see how fast my 2 years of preschool, 9 years of school went so quickly, and why teachers stressed that reading and writing every day was so important. I use these two things every day, much like everybody else on earth. Writing is something we all use to communicate, and reading is so important because that's how we obtain information. Even though I don't use algebra in my everyday life, I do use division or parentheses or percentages. For example, you want to tip somebody at a restaurant and you will need to find 30%. So you have a bill that is $60. Of course, you can always take out a calculator, but how would you even find this without a percentage button? School told me. You turn the percentage into a decimal and then use it that right way. But why even use the calculator when all you have to do is mental math? And that's $18. What they teach us in school at the time may seem very worthless, but it sets the foundation for what you will use later in life. Recently, I drove past my middle school where they were having a field day. For those of you that don't know what this is, it's when you spend the whole entire day outside and you face off against the rest of the classes at the school. As I was driving by, I was hit with a bunch of memories like a ton of bricks. It's amazing how when you are in school, you don't realize that you don't know a lot about the world, and you don't even know anything about the world that you live in. But you are naive and you think that you do. At least I did. It's sad that people are taking advantage of kids that are the most innocent in society. It infuriates me to see kids being used as political pawns for people that have evil set in their minds. This is why we need to have a society that has a moral duty to protect kids. We must not allow our teachers to teach them about gay sex or the school nurse to sneak them into some puberty blockers. This full stop is what we the people have to have the privilege and the right to stand up to, because this is perverse evil and we need to call it what it is. This is exactly what they are doing. Their target is set on kids. This is why we must have our eyes peeled for anything out of the ordinary. Like the Biden administration saying that there is no such thing as your kids, just our kids. No, Creepy Joe. This is our kids. And we will stand in the way and not let you indoctrinate them into any preposterous ideologies. With that being said, let's dig into exactly why and what case the people in the Miami court has against or for Trump. Starting off, we actually have a Washington Post article. We have, how many charges does Trump even face? Trump is accused of violating seven federal laws, but faces 37 separate charges. His longtime aide, Walt Nudza, faces 6 charges, 5 of which also lodged against Trump. Each classified document he's accused of holding on to illegally is charged on a separate count, and his alleged efforts to hide classified information from federal investigators are charged in several ways. What are the charges against Trump? Well, Donald Trump is charged with 31 counts of violating the Espionage Act. He is accused of willful retention of national defense information by someone who is not authorized to have it. The president does not go through a security clearance process that includes a pledge to follow classification rules. Trump received requests from the National Archives and Records Administration, the NARA, and subpoenas from the Justice Department indicating that the documents in question were classified and needed to be returned. What possible penalties does Trump face? The maximum punishment for each count of unlawful retention of national defense information is 10 years in prison. Conspiracy to obstruct justice, tampering with grand jury evidence, and concealing evidence in a federal investigation all carry punishments of up to 20 years. If Trump was convicted of all charges, the sentences could run consecutively, amounting to hundreds of years. What other criminal charges does Trump face? Well, Trump is charged in this New York State court of unrelated crimes of conduct that precedes his presidency. He is accused of falsifying business records to hide payments during the 2016 campaign made to adult film star. Trump is also under investigation by a state prosecutor in Georgia who is looking at his efforts to overturn President Biden's 2020 victory. The former president described himself as an innocent man being treated unfairly in comparison with Biden, which I agree with. Classified documents from the Obama administration were discovered in Biden's Delaware home last year by lawyers cleaning out his own office. A special counsel has been appointed to oversee that investigation. Okay, so the Washington Post actually, in this story, admits the fact that I almost said Biden. Obama and Biden did the exact same thing. But of course, they're not going to prosecute either one of those people. And of course, we're not going to prosecute Hillary Clinton for bleach bidding and destroying personal phones that had evidence to prove the fact that she had classified documents. And because of the fact that they got leaked, she got military soldiers killed in another country. So, of course, there's the rules are for they and not for me. They don't care, okay, at all. They don't care that it's just one-sided narrative. They don't care. It's just like the media. MSNBC, CNN, they don't care that right after this court case, this arraignment in Florida, Trump went to a cafe and greeted all of his fans and saying happy birthday. They do not care that he has all these supporters, and they don't care about the other side. They only care about, oh my God, classified documents. Listen, in the United States, there's an overclassification problem. We classify everything. The government does not want us to know a single thing. So if Trump has a lot of classified documents, most of those documents are probably between him and Xi Jinping or him and Putin. So these are just letters that they send to each other, and then the National Archives Committee wants those documents to have them on the records. But of course, Trump is like, no, it has Xi Jinping's name on it. I want it. So that's what he says, and he just takes the documents. So he doesn't even care. He just wants the documents because he wants the documents. He's not sitting there trying to negotiate with Putin for a price these documents. No, what he's doing is he just wants them because he just wants them. He's Trump. He just wants the documents. He's like, nope, they're mine. I want them. That's it. Nope, they're mine. So that's exactly what Trump's motive is, and that's why it's so hard to prove this case that he's neglecting to follow procedures is because of the fact that he's not doing it for any malicious intent, and you can see that he's not. He just kept it inside of a closet in Mar-a-Lago. But which one would you rather have? Now, and of course, these are very bad things. Which one would you rather have? these things inside of a locked closet in Mar-a-Lago or inside of an open garage in Joe Biden's car with Hunter Biden frequently going in and out of. Which one would you rather? I would rather the latter. I'd rather the former, I mean. The former is so much more secure, not the latter. The former is so much more secure than the latter because of the fact that, I mean, I don't even have to prove it to you. It's just obvious. Now, of course, when we start looking at the court case more in detail and see exactly what's going on here, we can see that he also had stuff that he admitted that the fact that it is classified and he's not supposed to have it. Just like when he went and turned to somebody that he knew was wired and they had a microphone much like this one right here, and he said into the microphone, or not so literal, but he said in their direction, listen, this is classified information right here. I could have unclassified this when I was president, but I didn't. Here, look at this, look at here, look at that, look at here, look at this, look at that. So he's like, oh, this is what Milley wants to do with the military. This is where he wants to invade. And he had the document in hand and he was showing people that did not have the classification privileges to look at those classified documents. So this is a problem that they're trying to do here in Florida. But of course, they need to prove this without a reasonable doubt that he was doing this for malicious intent. Now that audio recording will get released. We will hear the audio recording, not just a summary of the audio recording. And I think that's exactly where we ended off on the court case on Tuesday. So it's just very interesting seeing this. We can see that, oh, I actually have a video to show you guys. In the motorcade of him going through Florida, we can actually see a person trying to jump in front of the motorcade for some strange reason. And this person was dressed up in a lock him up costume because I think they were mad about him saying that Hillary Clinton needs to be locked up. So of course they were mad about that, and then he tried to hop in front of Donald Trump's motorcade, and then he just got tackled. So it's the most funny, it's the most like instant karma you're ever gonna see. Okay, so we can see here that it's the cops going through with the motorcade, and then this person goes and says lock him up, and then he just gets tackled to the floor. Yeah, I mean, it's just a very funny thing going on here because you cannot go in front of a motorcade. Like that's, you know how dangerous this is? We had presidents in the past that got shot while they were going inside of their car. So JFK was literally assassinated. So obviously, Secret Service is not going to take this lightly, and he's probably going to get a couple years in prison just for doing this because this was very stupid. You can't be doing this. But you know what else is stupid? This whole push for Pride. Of course, it's June, the most holy month out of the whole entire year, and we can see that people are just being sick and tired of this thing. And this is a story that I would never expect to see, but I'm glad to see it. We can actually see that middle schoolers are actually being accused of homophobia after chanting USA and tearing down Pride decorations. This is actually according to the Daily Wire. Middle schoolers in Massachusetts were accused of intolerance and homophobia after they reportedly revolted against a Pride celebration at the school and chanted that their pronouns were USA. Some students at Marshall Simmons Middle School in Burlington were accused of organizing a protest against the school-approved Spirit Day celebrating Pride Month, which encouraged students to wear rainbow colors earlier this month. The event was led by Spectrum Club, a LGBTQRSTVWXYZ club for students and allies. In response, some students were reportedly wore only red, white, or blue colored clothing and chanted USA are my pronouns and took down LGBTQRSTVWXYZ themed banners and stickers. Quote, these displays of intolerance and homophobia are unacceptable and has an impact on the whole community, said Burlington Equity Coalition co-chair Nancy Bosaria at a community meeting about the incident. We challenge Burlington town leadership to take an active stand against hate under the guise of free expression. Okay, so you want the right to dress up like a girl, but you don't want to have the right for free expression. Make it make sense. So you want the right to dress up in a triple Z breast, like fake breasts, like they did in Canada, the Canada teacher, but you don't want people to have the right to wear red, white, and blue. I'm wearing blue. You're not going to tell me that I cannot wear blue. You're not going to tell me that I can't wear red or white. White is a very popular color. Black is, blue and red are the most popular colors, number one. Number two, that is our national colors. Red, white, and blue are our national colors. So why are you sitting here saying that we cannot wear our national colors? This is America that we're talking about. American pride is very important to still have. And because of the fact that if we have American pride, then we're going to have pride in our country and not just ourselves. We cannot have pride in ourselves. Pride month is pride in self. And pride in self is a sin, a deadly sin, take it. And also not just that, but also pride in self leads to narcissism. So if you want to become a narcissist, you just take a one-way trip to pride in yourself and you start celebrating yourself. Then you turn into a narcissist and there you go. You just lost all accountability because you wanted to celebrate yourself. With that being said, we're going to be moving into the media's takes. So we have an article from CNN. We have how one DeSantis speech captured the dynamic that could decide in 2024. This is a CNN article. When Florida Governor Ron DeSantis delivered his initial speech as a declared presidential candidate in Iowa last week, his first 15 minutes strictly previewed how Republicans might defeat President Joe Biden next year. The next 30 minutes of DeSantis' speech then demonstrated how Biden might survive despite all the doubts about his performance and capabilities. DeSantis spent the first part of his address in an eventual church outside of Des Moines, highlighting all the vulnerabilities of issues such as inflation and border that have suppressed Biden's job approval ratings since late summer 2021. But then DeSantis spent nearly half an hour detailing an ambiguous, extensive, and aggressively conservative agenda on social issues, such as a 6-week abortion ban and the removal of books from schools' classrooms and libraries. These messages thrilled his right-wing leaning audience, but risk alleging many of the swing voters who have recoiled from Donald Trump's particular in the suburbs of large metropolitan areas across the battleground states. Okay, so first of all, we're not trying to sit here and say, oh, you can't read that book. No, you can't read this book. You can't read this book. This is not Fahrenheit 451. What we're saying is that explicitly sexual books that explain how gay sex and lesbian sex or fingering yourself or masturbating should not be allowed in schools. That's disgusting. If we have a book about how to have straight sex properly, and book is explicitly only in high schools and has explicit warnings on it, and says the facts and says that this book is intended for 18 or older, and you cannot get this book unless you are 18 or older in high school libraries after a certain age, then that's one thing. But if you're explicitly pushing these books, in these picture books of explicitly sexual acts done by gay and lesbian people to children in elementary schools and middle schools, and then offer them a picture book that's porn and that's explicitly disgusting. That's disgusting and this should not happen. What we are doing is saying, listen, these kids should not be pushed an agenda. What they could be doing is instead going home and saying, listen, I want to read this book on my own terms. But of course, once we say we can read this book on our own terms, then we can say, listen, if you want to read that book on your own time, you can. But in schools, we're not going to agree that these books can be in schools because it's just blatantly disgusting and talks about how gay sex and lesbian sex, and it should not be said. I mean, I don't have to explain to you why it's disgusting. Moving on to the next article, we actually have an MSNBC article. We have Trump keeps acting like he didn't start this. Oh, this just sounds like a whining little article from MSNBC. But, I didn't read this already, but let's read it for the first time together. The former president is pretending he didn't spend years trying to get his political rivals arrested. Oh, it just sounds like whining. Like, MSNBC, can you please stop whining? He's Brown. This is the writer that made this on MSNBC. Stop whining. In his remarks at the Bedminster, New Jersey residence on Tuesday night, former President Donald Trump was insisted that we've got to get tough in response to federal indictment against him and the other potential criminal charges waiting in the wings. Quote, now that the seal is broken by what they have done. They should have never done this, he said. This was an unwritten rule, unless it's really bad. Trump promised that if he got elected again, he will appoint a, quote, real special prosecutor to go after President Joe Biden and his family, quote, and all others involved in the destruction of our elections and our borders and our country itself. Which is true. I mean, if you break the seal and say, listen, we're not going to have any president. We're not going to sit here and say the same thing that we did in 2016 and say, listen, we're not going to investigate you because you are a candidate for the 2024 election and we don't want to interfere with this. That's what they said for Hillary Clinton. We're not going to investigate. She's running for a president. If you want to set the precedent that we can have investigations against our political rivals, then you have opened up a can of worms and you have let the genie out of the bottle that does not go back in the bottle. And it's disgusting. This should not happen the first time. No, Trump never started this. Let's see why they say Trump started this. More immediately, by invoking the idea that this seal has been, quote, broken with his prosecution, Trump is attempting to erase the fact that one of his 2016 campaign unofficial slogans was lock her up. Yes, but the fact is that he never actually locked her up. We can say, listen, we need to lock her up. We need to lock her up. Yes, Hillary Clinton needs to be locked up. But did Trump actually go out and do it? No, he did not. MSNBC, how are you missing the point this much? His point was, listen, we have a corrupt campaign. We have a corrupt candidate in the race. And if you want that corrupt candidate, vote for her. If you do not want a corrupt candidate and you want somebody that is an outsider, then vote for me. That was exactly what's happening in 2016. But of course, we can say lock her up. But did she actually get locked up? Did she actually get an ongoing investigation? No. MSNBC, you're wrong. Just like always. Moving on to the next article, we actually have a Daily Wire article. We actually have the Biden administration claims that it was outraged at transgender activists who went topless at the White House. No, it was not outraged because they know exactly what they signed up for. The Biden administration claims that it was outraged over a transgender activist that took his top off at a White House LGBTQRSTVWXYZ event over the weekend. President Joe Biden faced backlash on Monday evening after a video from Saturday went viral that showed transgender activist Rose Montoya taking his top off after meeting the president. Montoya, a man who claims that he is a woman, met with Biden and his wife, Jill Biden, and covered his bare prosthetic breasts with his hands while being recorded on camera in front of others who were in attendance. Quote, the behavior is inappropriate and disrespectful at any event at the White House, a White House official said in a statement. It is not reflective of the event that we hosted to celebrate LGBTQRSTVWXYZ families or the other hundreds of guests who was in attendance. Individuals in the video will not be invited to future events. The White House press secretary Karine Jean-Pierre later expressed the same sentiment during a Tuesday's press briefing. Quote, the behavior was simply unacceptable. We've been very clear about that. Karine Jean-Pierre, I love saying her name wrong, said that it was, quote, unfair to the hundreds of attendees who were there to celebrate their families. So, we're going to continue to clear on that. And that type of behavior is, as I said, unacceptable. It is inappropriate and disrespectful. And it really does not reflect the event that we hosted to celebrate the LGBTQRSTVWXYZ. Now, I'm sorry, but I will play the video for you. Of course, we can see in the background before we even hit play on the video that the pride flag, the Progress Pride flag, whatever it's called, is in the middle of two USA flags that are put off to the distance, and that's disgusting and despicable. Now let's see the video here.
Happy Pride Month. Happy Pride Year. Happy Pride Life.
That's exactly what they want to do. They want to push this Pride Year, Pride Day, Pride Month, Pride half a year, Pride 10 years. They want to just celebrate Pride itself every single day.
Transgender children.
You are beautiful.
You are her.
Okay, so all they said was transgender children. Okay, that's it. Transgender children are mentally disturbed, mentally You're going through it. Like, finish your sentence, Joe.
You belong.
You're understood.
You are loved.
And you belong.
You belong. Like, okay. Come on now, Joe. What kind of blue pill did you take before this event? Because I know that you're seeing all these trannies there. What kind of blue pill did you take before this event that made you actually belong? Can we replay this?
Transgender children.
You are beautiful.
You are heard.
You belong.
You're understood.
You are loved.
And you belong.
You belong. Listen, they said belong twice. Jill Biden over here said, you belong. And then Joe Biden said, you belong. Am I done yet? Can I take a nap?
Some of the bravest and most inspiring people I've ever known.
Okay, so this is the most disturbing and disrespectful thing that he's ever said in his entire life. And he's been here since the Constitution was formed in 1776. Listen, if you're going to sit here and say that these trannies are the most courageous people that you have ever saw, and you constantly meet military officials that risk their life for us, the people, to have our freedoms every single day, then that's a slap in the face to our military officials that went through that. How are these people that are in this event, gay people, lesbian people, whatever the hell kind of people, these trannies, more courageous than those military officials killing people to defend America every single day? How? That's disturbing and disgusting, and you should be ashamed of yourself.
I mean, you're welcome.
Good folks.
Can we take a little video? Hi, Mr. President. It is an honor. Trans rights are human rights.
And he never says it.
Oh, it's a video. Oh, it's a video.
And Joe Biden over here can't even figure it out. Oh, and then we see Jazz Jennings over here.
Gay news! Are we topless at the White House?
Yeah, and then this is where they don't like this. Yeah, so this supposedly is exactly what the White House did not like. Of course, they knew exactly what they were going to sign up for when you invite a tranny to the White House. Of course, they're going to spill their mental illness all over the place. Yeah, so of course the video ends there. It's disgusting. We don't want to see anymore. The incident drew widespread combination online. Quote, no, this isn't another hookers and blow photo from Hunter Biden's laptop. It was a pride party at the White House lawn 2 days ago, hosted by Joe, said radio host Donna Lusrich. They didn't hang the American flag right according to code. Apparently, it's okay to go topless if they magically unnecessarily breast removal surgery, or if you're a man with implants, Letchis said. Quote, the adults are back in charge. National Review contributor Pradheep J. Shaker sarcastically tweeted, quote, this is a GOP campaign ad for the fall of 2024. If you think that this is going to play well in Georgia, Ohio, Michigan, Wisconsin, Iowa, you are delusional. Columnist Carl Masurich tweeted, quote, again, if you're a Republican president befolded by the White House like this, there will be a dozen think pieces from conservatives about how wrong this is. Where are the sane liberals calling this disgusting behavior out? Stop hiding under your beds. Quote, liberals actually love the conservatives are fighting the gender wars for them, she added. They escape in the infighting while knowing that things have gone way too far. Biological men shouldn't compete in women's sports, and fingers crossed the right wins on this one. And I completely agree. Why are we going to sit here and deal with this topless man jiggling his prosthetic boobs out in the open for no reason? No, we should not be dealing with this. This is disgusting. No. The White House made the right decision on to not allow him back at the White House, but they did it too little too late. They should have never invited him at the very beginning. Now, moving on to the next article, we actually have another Daily Wire article. Candace Owens reveals globally sanctioned lie that led to the YouTube suspension. Now, if you guys do not know, Candace Owens, I actually love her podcast. I watch it every single day. She got banned on YouTube for 1 week, and so did Michael Knowles. And Matt Walsh, a few months ago, got demonetized on YouTube. Ben Shapiro probably will get a lot of videos taken down also at the same exact time. Because you know why? Because all of these people, and of course, just like Dr. Jordan Peterson, all of these people say the truth. These people if you say the truth and say that trans people are not a trans person, there's no such thing as a trans person because that's in a category of person. It's a male or a female. That's the two category of people. Just like how the two category of chickens are a chicken or a hen. We have two different categories. You can either be a chicken or you can be a hen. Those are two different types of chickens. We don't have many different types of chickens, or the non-binary chicken or the non-binary hen. There's no such thing. It's either you're a male or a female. There's two different things. There's no a trans male or a trans female. No, you're a male or female. And what is a female? What is a male? Like, what is a woman? What is a guy? A guy is an adult human male, and a woman is an adult human female. That's exactly it. The definition is as simple as it comes. XYXX. Of course. Moving into the next article, like I said, Candace Owens reveals globally sanctioned lie that led to the YouTube suspension. Daily Wire podcast host Candace Owens announced on Sunday that YouTube suspended her account because of her commentary about transgender issues. In an Instagram video, Owens said that YouTube imposed a temporary ban on her channel and said that the lockdown was a result of a review of videos in which she refers to trans-identifying people by their biological sex and showcases people who have expressed remorse over undergoing transgender surgeries. Owens blamed YouTube's very opaque policies for multiple strikes against her account and noted that a suspension could last a week or more. YouTube's crackdown on this is a symptom of the latest globally sanctioned lie centered on gender identity. Owens said, previous cases of narrative-driving falsehoods centered around Black Lives Matter movements and COVID, but gender identity is particularly insidious because it targets children, Owens said. A post Owens made to Twitter summarized what she talked about on Instagram. Refusing to back down, Owens said that she believes in truth tellers will be more vindicated in the end. In the meantime, Owens said that she will make more announcements in the coming weeks and will continue to post videos from her show on Twitter, where the host said that Musk appears to be open to allowing truth speech for open debate. Owens also encouraged supporters to subscribe to her YouTube channel, saying that a surge in followers during her suspension would help to stick it to the platform. Owens is not alone in being penalized by YouTube, as the Daily Wire has taken a firm line against the radical transgender craze, especially when it comes to minors being subjected to irreversible chemical and even surgical treatments. Daily Wire co-CEO Jeremy Boring announced on Sunday that evening that a number of accounts associated with his company have received 104 violations for, quote, hateful and derogatory content on YouTube over the past 90 days, mainly directed at his commentary about transgender issues. Beyond Owens' page, accounts like The Matt Walsh Show, Ben Shapiro Show, Michael Knowles Show, Andrew Klavan Show, Brett Cooper, and Jordan Peterson have all received violations, Boring said. Penalties include Walsh being demonetized last month, Owens and Knowles being suspended for 7 days after receiving a second strike, and Peterson getting his first strike. 3 strikes in 90 days, and an account gets deleted, Boring said. The Daily Wire reached out to YouTube seeking a comment on the thread. Quote, we removed content from the Candace Owens, Michael Knowles, and Jordan Peterson show channels for violating our hate speech and harassment policies, a YouTube spokesperson said in an email. Our community guidelines apply equally to all creators on the platform. Peterson, a Daily Wire Plus contributor, said on Saturday that YouTube had removed a video in which he and author Helen Joyce discussed gender identity for allegedly violating the platform's hate speech policy. In a series of tweets, Peterson said, quote, to say I am tired of being accused in the manner of narcissistic authoritarians is to say almost nothing. He ended up posting the full video at Twitter owner Elon Musk's behest. And I completely agree. Dr. Jordan Peterson is the best person that we can actually be listening to on this matter because the fact that, first of all, he's a doctor. Second of all, he knows exactly what he's talking about and articulates it in such a amazing way that I myself could not ever explain in the way that he ever could because of the fact that he has so much education behind him and so much knowledge behind him that when you listen to him, you're just amazed because he just explains it so well. And I just love his Canadian accent at the same exact time. It's just amazing. Everything about him is just amazing. Of course, I am a huge fan of him. Now, moving on to the next article, we actually have a Breitbart article. We have J.K. Rowling rips Johns Hopkins University for labeling lesbians as a non-man attracted to a non-man. So a bird is a lesbian, I guess, because a bird is attracted to a non-man because a bird is a non-man. So everything in this world, a dog is a lesbian, a cat is a lesbian, anything is a lesbian. So it just doesn't make any sense over here. Harry Potter author J.K. Rowling slammed a leading United States medical school on Tuesday for saying a lesbian is a non-man attracted to a non-man, and including the woke definition in its LGBTQIA2VWXYNZ guide. The glossary states lesbian should not include women, but also non-binary people. The English author took to social media to publicly rip Johns Hopkins University in Baltimore, Maryland, for a move by writing man. No definition needed. Non-man, formerly known as woman, being definable only to a reference to a male. She added, an absence of a vacuum where there is no manness. So you can see here from the Johns Hopkins University website, you can actually see LGBTQRCVWXYZ glossary, lesbian, sexual orientation, a non-man attracted to a non-man, while past definitions referred to lesbian as woman who is emotionally, romantically, or sexually attracted to other women. Their updated definition includes non-binary people who may also identify with the label. Gay man, a man who is emotionally, romantically, sexually, affectionately, or relationally attracted to other men, who also identifies as a member of a gay community. At times, gay is used to refer to all people, regardless of gender, who have their primary sexual or romantic attractions to people of the same gender. Gay is an adjective, not a noun, as in, he's a gay man. Okay, so why such the specifics when it comes to gay man, but not the specifics when it comes to lesbian? Because of the fact they don't want to explain what a woman is. The author's tweet comes after the charity Oxfam was told to apologize and delete a section of its Pride Month advert after it brought out a video portraying her as a villain with wild red eyes, as Breitbart News reported. Rowling's public excursion of Johns Hopkins is the second time this year where she has been happy to offer her critique for the transgender movement in the West. The author previously revealed that she's been subjected to, quote, many death threats and had her family's home doxxed by leftist activists for daring to speak out. Daniel Radcliffe, 33, who served as Harry Potter in the film adaptations of Rowling's books, is just many of her critics. He previously wrote, while Jo is unquestionably reasonable from the course of my life, has taken, as someone who has been honored to work with and continues to contribute to the Trevor Project for the last decade, and just a human being, I feel compelled to say something at this moment. Transgender women are women. No, they're not. Transgender women are men. That's because of the fact that you need to add transgender woman to the beginning. Transgender women are not women. They're men. They are men. They will always be men, just like trans men are women. It's opposite day. That's exactly what it means. Transgender women are not women. That's it. Now, the Trevor Project is obviously highly political and does not actually do any research at all, but of course it just does the bidding of the left to prove whatever the left wants to prove that very day. Now, let's move on to the next article. So starting off, we actually have, digging in, we actually have a Federalist article. We have Trump indictment timeline reeks of deep state information operation. So, of course, the deep state is after Trump because they know that Trump can possibly win the 2024 presidential race. Now, because of this, they don't want him happen. They don't want this to happen again. I mean, what happened in 2020? They do not want this at all to happen ever again. You know why? Because Trump is a threat to the deep state. Trump drained the swamp, or if he did not drain the swamp, because of course he's the one that put Fauci in charge. He didn't drain the swamp. What he did was make us realize the swamp creatures that were swimming around, and he drained the water within the swamp enough for us to see the swamp creatures that were swimming within it. And he opened the door up to all of us seeing the corruption within our government. That's what Trump did. So I applaud him, and I will always be in debt to him for doing this. That's a great thing that Trump did. He made me realize that the deep state was an actual thing, and Trump actually paved the way for me to actually have a different view on my reality and actually open the door up to conservatism, which I am now. So without further ado, let's just dig in. Former President Donald Trump was indicted on the same day the FBI Director Christopher Wray caved to House Republicans and allowed members of the Oversight Committee to view an agency document demanded by the GOP. The document, an unclassified FD 1023 form, is said to implicate President Joe Biden in a criminal bribery scene from his time as vice president. According to Republican lawmakers who reviewed the document in a secure room on the Capitol Hill, the document from a credible confidential information According to Republican lawmakers who reviewed the document in a secure room on the Capitol Hill, the document from a credible confidential information contains evidence President Biden took a $5 million bribe from a foreign national. That foreign national, Iowa Senator Chuck Grassley, says is an executive at Burisma, the Ukrainian energy company that showered Hunter Biden on the board on excess compensation. Quote, according to the 1023, the foreign national possesses 15 audio recordings of phone calls between him and Hunter Biden. Gracie said on the Senate floor Monday with 17 recordings in quote total. Gracie's bombshell floor speech brought the Biden bribery scandal back into the news cycle after the FBI officials sought to suppress coverage of the scheme with Trump's second indictment. Biden's Republican predecessor and lead contemptor for the GOP's 2024 presidential nomination, surrendered to the federal officials Tuesday, giving Biden something in common with Russian President Vladimir Putin. Both their chief political opponents are under arrest. Was last week's timing a coincidence? Not if you see the latest episode in the Arrest Trump movement for what it is, the natural contempt of a failed Russia hoax 8 years ago. Brinksmanship for Biden. FBI Director Wray was on the cusp of contempt charges last week when the agency chief relented that to House Republicans and brought in a requested document to Capitol Hill for every member of the Oversight Committee to review. A whistleblower first revealed the existence of the document to Senator Grassley and House Oversight Chairman James Comer of Kentucky more than a month ago. The pair of top GOP lawmakers issued a subpoena for the unclassified form on May 3rd. Quote, we believe that the FBI possesses an unclassified internal document that includes very serious and detailed allegations implementing the current president of the United States, Gracie said. Quote, we do not know what, if anything, the FBI has done to verify these claims or investigate further. The FBI's recent history of botching politically charged investigations demands close congressional oversight. Wray initially refused lawmakers' request and withhold the document from Capitol Hill. In a page 6 letter to Congress, the Bureau argued that the document was insignificant and that disclosure would compromise confidential human informants. If Comer wanted to see it, the agency later said, he would have to travel to the FBI headquarters in Pennsylvania Avenue. Quote, anything short of producing these documents to the House Oversight Committee is not in compliance with the subpoena, Comer warned in May. The FBI director then allowed Comer to review the document with Maryland Democrat Rep. Jamie Raskin, the ranking member of the Oversight Committee, in a Capitol skiff. Raskin tried to dismiss Republican accusations with a statement alleging that the investigation has been shut down under Attorney General Bill Barr during the Trump administration. In an exclusive interview with The Federalist, however, the former Attorney General debunked Raskin's claims. Quote, on the contrary, Barr said, quote, it was sent to the Delaware for further investigation. Comer moved forward with the contempt proceedings after reviewing the FD 1023 when the agency refused to release the document. The House Oversight Committee canceled the resolution to hold Wray in contempt on Wednesday, on June 7th, on the eve of Trump's indictment. The contempt resolution was abandoned when the Wray allowed the rest of the Oversight Committee to review the document. In other words, Wray ran out the clock as the Justice Department prepared to issue the first ever federal indictment for a former president. Document shows exactly what Grassley Comer said that it would. Wray attempted to bury the news in Trump's indictment as Comer previewed the blockbuster allegations that would surface from the FBI record. Once members of the Oversight Committee emerged from the skiff on Capitol Hill, GOP lawmakers confirmed the document as a bombshell. Comer and Grassley said that it was. Republican Reps Brian Donalds of Florida and Andy Briggs of Arizona told NBC News that the allegations were legitimate and said that the human source for the document has been on the FBI payroll for years. Florida Republican Rep. Paulina Luna said that the document was grounds for impeachment. I sure hope it is. It's very likely that this president is going to be impeached, and by that I mean Joe Biden, Luna said. Colorado Republican Rep. Lauren Boebert spoke directly to millions with a video published on social media after she reviewed the record. Quote, this document memorized the testimony of the trustworthy whistleblower who worked for the FBI for over a decade, Boebert said. On Monday, Grace Lee suggested more will come out with 17 audio recordings kept by Barista founder Mykola Savitsky as a sort of insurance policy. I want everyone to remember that I have read the uneradicated version, Grace Lee said on the Senate floor. And I completely agree because Joe Biden actually came out and said that, listen, yes, I said to another country, I will withhold funding if you don't fire this investigator, because this investigator was investigating a company that Hunter Biden was on the board of directors for, and they were trying to find the shady dealings of this said company in Ukraine. But Joe Biden stepped in and said, not on my watch, mister. And he said, shut down the investigation right now. You're fired, or you're not going to get the money. That's what he said. Trump, meanwhile, is now undergoing trial for alleged mishandling of classified documents, despite President Biden having harbored classified information across several locations from the time that he was vice president. Senate Republicans endorsed the political prosecution with silence, while House Republicans condemned the indictment as a partisan witch hunt. But both can be true at the same exact time. So we can have two things true at the same time. Does Trump deserve to be prosecuted? Yes, Trump deserves to be prosecuted, but is it unfair that he's unjustly being prosecuted because of the fact that he's the only one being prosecuted? That can also be true at the same exact time. Yes, it is true. Is it true that Trump committed a crime or allegedly committed a crime? Yes, it's true that he allegedly committed a crime. The evidence is pretty high, not in his favor. And yes, it can also be true that other people within the government also committed crimes that is criminal and offensible. So yes, both can be true at the same exact time. Now, him speaking at his political rallies are totally different, a total different world than the world that he is currently in trial. The trial world does not care about the political world, and vice versa. The political world does not care about the trial world because of the fact that it does not go hand in hand. The jury and the judge will not decide based off of how popular Trump is at the cafe that he visits in Florida while he's in town. It does not matter. Yes, he's a very popular guy. People were singing happy birthday to him. But is this going to change the case? No, it's not. Is it unjust for the Justice Department to go after Trump but not go after Joe Biden and the crime family that is the president's son and the president's family? No, it's not just at all. But that's just the world that we live in. And, it would be a very interesting race to see if Trump was actually in jail. He won and then pardons himself. He's like, Donald J. Trump, pardon Donald J. Trump. Like, it would just be so funny. That would be the height of entertainment at that point. Moving on to the next article, we actually have a Federalist article. We have Biden's complete reversal on LGBT issues proves that he's in it for the money. Of course, he's a spineless little Democrat. All he does is swirl in the wind and go wherever the wind blows. Do you support gay marriage? The moderator asked then Vice President candidate Joe Biden during the 2008 VP debate. Quote, no, Barack Obama nor I support redefining from a civil side what constitutes marriage. We do not support that, Biden responded. Fast forward to 2023, and Biden is hosting topless transgenders at the White House lawn while invoking things like God and morality to endorse the butchering of in physical torment of children and violating flag code to fly a massive gay pride flag out from the White House. The president declared on March 30th, 2023, Transgender Day of Visibility, and upon taking office, filled his cabinet with gender dysphoric individuals. Rachel Levine and the administration's assistant secretary of, ironically, Health and Human Services, believes in child genital mutilation and chemical castration. In Sam Britton, the former deputy assistant secretary of the Department of Energy's Office of Spent Fuel and Waste Deposition, has been fired after twice committing felony theft. The Biden Pentagon allows male soldiers to use female showers and bedrooms, and used a drag queen TikToker to recruit for the Navy. His Department of Health and Human Services also tried to force doctors to perform mutilative trans surgeries against their religious beliefs and consequence objectives. Quote, a federal court thankfully blocked the plan. Joe Biden went from actively opposing gay marriage to possessively, passionately embracing the most extreme and damaging aspects of the transgender agenda, the trans agenda, in other words. His actions since taking office would have likely been unthinkable to even himself only a few years ago. It's not just his stance on sex and gender that Biden radically reversed course on. The president once eulogized a former exiled cyclops of the Ku Klux Klan, and opposed forced busing of degenerate schools because he said that it would cause his children to, quote, grow up in a racial jungle. Yeah, let me restart that. The president once eulogized a former exiled cyclops for the Ku Klux Klan and opposed forced busing to desegregate schools because he said that it would cause his children to, quote, grow up in a racial jungle. Yet today, Biden is apparently hyper aware of the systemic racism and has implemented a slew of Marxist measures to promote, quote, racial equality. You can't really teach an old dog new tricks, especially when it's been around for 8 decades. No reasonable person buys that a mentally compromised octogenarian who can't remember how many grandchildren he has, is the savior of transgenders and racial minorities. The facade is painfully obvious, even to Democrats, and he often struggles to stay politically correct if you vote for Trump. You ain't black. Biden said on the campaign trail in 2020. Also in 2020, Biden told a group of low-income students, quote, poor kids are just as talented and just as bright as white kids. Biden didn't enter politics because he has a clear moral or philosophical convictions that he wishes to shape the country with via carefully constructed policy. Throughout his career, Biden had been happy to mold his politics around whatever can earn him the most amount of money and power. And oh boy, he has made money. Last week, congressional Republicans finally were able to view an FBI document that the agency tried to hide, which allegedly reveals that then Vice President Biden took part in a criminal bribery scheme with Ukrainian energy company Burisma. Notably, Biden's son Hunter held a lucrative position on the Burisma's executive board from 2014 to 2019. According to the document, Biden exchanged influence over American foreign policy for two $5 million payments. One went to Hunter and one went directly to Biden himself. Evidence of the bribery scandal is mounting after Senator Chuck Grassley revealed on Monday that the Burisma executive behind the alleged scandal kept 17 audio recordings, 15 between him and Hunter, and 2 between him and then Vice President Joe Biden, as an insurance policy. Of course, Biden and Hunter aren't the only ones benefiting from Biden's political career. This is a family business. According to Rep. James Comer, chairman of the House Oversight Committee, 10 of Biden's family members accepted wire payments amounting to over $10 million from foreign nationals while he was vice president. In 2020, communist former Black Panther and critical theorist Angela Davis endorsed Joe Biden for president, saying that his election is crucial because he is a candidate, quote, who can be the most efficiently pressured by the left. Davis was correct. Biden is not only susceptible to pressure, but embraces it. Joe Biden is a serial liar. Even before his cognitive decline, he has no ethics and no adherence to no political particular ideology. He will say and do anything if it gives him the power and influence to make millions of dollars for himself and his dysfunctional family. Of all the elites in America's gendery class enriching themselves by selling out the country, our own president is the most successful and the most dangerous. And I completely agree. Just like in the emails that we've seen with Hunter Biden and him, or Hunter Biden and other companies, oh, I'm going to give 10% to the big guy. I'm going to give 10% to the big guy. What do you mean the big guy? You mean the vice president at the time, Joe Biden? Yeah. The only reason why you're actually making these dealings is because of the power that Hunter Biden's dad, Joe Biden, actually has. And that's exactly where we're going to end today's video. If you did like today's episode, please like and subscribe down below because I do post new episodes of the show every single Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Thank you all for watching, and I hope that you have a great rest of your day. Bye.